hopefully this will work. Okay, so hi everybody, this is Amy. Welcome. We are on week 4 of the coaching sampler, and today we are going to be we're going to be playing with metaphor. So this is super exciting. This is actually one of my favorite coaching tools, and I started out using coaching or teaching metaphor as a trainer in the Martha Beck certification program. I'm now teaching another practicum, but I really enjoy the metaphor work. It's not as much something that I can teach you to do on your own. Hi, Estelle.
Hi.
So it's something, I was just saying that we're going to be working with metaphor today. And so this isn't something necessarily that you can, I do it. You can definitely work with metaphor on your own, but I have found that it's a little bit easier to do this with somebody else. So with that in mind, I have a couple volunteers today. Estelle, you are one. There's my other volunteer popping in. Hi, Julika.
Hi.
So thank you. Yeah. So I'm just going to actually just start off with an introduction for those who are new to me, and then I'm going to I'm going to read a little excerpt from my book, and then we're going to jump over to doing some metaphor work. So go ahead and mute if you are if you're not muted, just so we can protect the quality of the call. And for those of you who are new, or this is the first time you've joined us for the coaching sampler, welcome. This is actually week 4. We're switching gears a little bit. We're going right brain the next 3 weeks, and we are going to be playing with a lot of metaphor. And so if you missed the first 3 weeks, we worked with a lot of tools to help us become more aware of the thoughts that we're having that are creating results we want or not. And then what do we do with those thoughts? And so those are coaching tools that I demoed. And so if you missed it, you can go and you can get those recordings. I can't remember what the link is off the top of my head right now. Let me see. I think it's Live Brain. I'm putting this in the chat. I think it's coaching sampler. Okay, I don't know. I can't remember, but let's try that. Somebody can click on this and see if it works. And if not, I always send it out the day after. So I'm Amy Pearson. I'm over at livebrazen.com. I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm a trainer. I'm a master coach. I am going through a rebrand, you guys. It is super exciting. I just got a look at my new website design. Oh, it's so exciting. So I'm going to be rebranding, and the goal is to be live by the beginning of the year, although it may even be sooner. So there are so many exciting things happening. I am staging a comeback in my business, and it just feels really exciting. They say you're never starting over, you're starting from experience, and that is so inspirational to me. So I'm using all my business tools, you guys. I'm going back, and I'm going back through my business coaching program myself. But anyway, yeah, at the height of my coaching career, I was multiple 6 figures. Gosh, what else can I say about my accomplishments? I know I'm supposed to tell you lots of cool things about everything I've achieved, so that you can trust me. But just know that I know what I'm doing, and so yeah. And the reason that I wanted to do this coaching sampler was because I was inspired. I really miss using these tools on a regular basis, and I just wanted to start to interact with people again, and have someone like face-to-face time. But the other thing is that a lot of people haven't hired a coach and really don't know what the heck coaches do. And so I wanted to create this just to give an idea of what my coaching looks like and the tools that I use, but also because I think we need tools. I think a lot of us need to have more tools in our toolbox for when we need them. And so I wanted to offer this to my community. And the other reason is because I've been thinking a lot about my grandmother. Her name was Alice, and today is the anniversary of her birthday. And I actually wanted to read a little excerpt from the memoir that I'm writing. This is very, very rough. I actually just started writing it a couple days ago, but it sort of reminded me of the power of the people who surround us and the impact that they can have on us. And so and today is my grandmother's birthday. And so I wanted to just read this little excerpt if it's okay, and it's not too long. I just was inspired, just like 5 minutes ago, I had the idea to share this with you. So I'm just gonna read it, okay? I was a spring baby born a day after the equinox, 1973. I was named after Amy in Little Women, who, like me, was the youngest of 4 sisters. My grandmother, an enigma to me, loved the book. We would visit her on occasion in her North Cape, Portland Cape Cod, painted mint green with white accents. At one time, she was said to be a great beauty with fine features and pale skin, a Dutch Grace Kelly, but I didn't notice. She rarely spoke to me, which gave me little opportunity to look at her. Come in, she said from a chair in the front room. The front door was open as we walked up the concrete steps to her home. My mother opened the iron screen door and motioned for me to go first. I paused for a moment in disbelief as I watched smoke escape out the door. The sharp smell of it filled every space, invading my nostrils, my eyes, even my mouth. Everything was tidy and organized in the small home, which seemed out of place considering all the smoke. My grandmother sat on a tan love seat in front of a large rectangular window looking out to a golf course across the way. As if to acknowledge us, she took a drag from her cigarette, then bent forward from the sofa to flick the ash into the ashtray on the coffee table. My step-grandfather sat opposite her in a lazy boy recliner. A table next to his chair, one of those ugly oak things from the 60s with 2 awkward levels, shorter on the top and longer on the bottom, held a basket of harmonicas and a large ashtray already full of used cigarette butts. He did not get up either, but looked at us and offered a grunt of acknowledgement, his facial expression unreadable. There was a small kitchen facing the sitting room where I could see my grandmother's collection of salt and pepper shakers, arranged proudly along the shelves. Little baker men, one hugging an S and the other hugging a P, brightly colored birds, brown and black owls with graduation caps and rhinestones for eyes, a cream and gold Noah and his robe and beard standing next to his ark. This salt and pepper shaker collection was a mystery to me, holding clues of a person who lived beneath a seemingly impenetrable facade. I walked over to have a closer look. Her hazy wisps of smoke appeared to gather and circulate along the ceiling like restless ghosts. While my mother and grandmother spoke, I stood awkwardly in the room, hands clasped behind my back, bored. My stepfather motioned to me, my step-grandfather, that is. He reached over to a basket of harmonicas and picked one and brought it to his lips, letting out a raspy tune as his hands moved the instrument across his face. When he was finished, he handed me the harmonica. I blew into it. A loud, raspy sound vibrated out the other side. I peeked over at my mother. She gave me an irritated look, so I smiled politely and handed it back to him. You can have it, he said, giving it back to me. I've got a whole basket of them anyway. He motioned to the basket with the hand that wasn't holding a cigarette. I took the harmonica and looked down at it shyly. Thank you, I said without looking up. Another clue. Underneath everything there is a story. Why did my step-grandfather love harmonicas? How did he get so many of them? When did he learn to play? I would never know. There were unspoken rules everywhere, different depending on the place. In my grandma's house, in my other grandma's house, this is the one who has a birthday today, by the way. I'm just gonna mute some folks here. In my other grandma's house, it was okay to make noise. I could ask questions whenever I wanted, look directly into her eyes and be greeted by an expression that said, clear as day, you are precious to me. Then a raspy laugh and a hug I would get lost in. Here I understood I had to be quiet, to disappear if I could. If I took up too much space, my grandmother wouldn't say so. She spoke with her eyes, and when she looked at me, my mother's energy would curl into itself like a pill bug. Here, my mother said, handing me a book. We were in her blue Plymouth with the triangle windows in the back. This is your grandmother's favorite book. She wanted you to have it. A present from my grandmother. I took the book eagerly. You are named after the Amy in this book, you know. That day, I took the book directly to my room. It would be the first of many attempts. I wanted to love the book like my grandmother had. but each time I read, I couldn't shake the disappointment. Why did they name me after Amy? She was the worst character in the book. Spoiled, self-centered. The only thing she had going for her were her looks. I'm going to stop there. But the reason I wanted to share that with you is because I was thinking so much about my childhood. And, well, I was named Amy after the Amy and Little Women. And anyway, my grandmother loved that book. And so this is my maternal grandmother. She's very cold and distant, and I didn't have a relationship with her. And I always wondered why I was Amy. I just did never like that character. I always wanted to be Jo. But my paternal grandmother, she's the one who would look at me, and you could see reflected back that she thought I was precious. And I guess the reason I wanted to share that with you guys is because as a child, we don't have a choice who we are surrounded by. But as an adult, we do. And I was thinking about some of the people in my life that I've been exposed to. And so much of it has been since I've become a coach. And so much of it has been the coaches who I've hired. And some of it has been direct coaching that I've received. And some of it has just been examples that I see on social media. But I just wanted to remind you guys of the step that you're taking to be here, right? This series is important to me because we have a choice about who we surround ourselves with. And by being here, you are doing that for yourself. And that's really important. And so, yeah, that's just, thank you for listening to my book and for being here and for doing this for yourself. Hopefully I am a good example and someone who can inspire you and someone who can reflect back to you that you are precious. All right. I'm not going to cry. I won't. I'm not going to do it. All right. So let's do some metaphor work. Like I said, this is a coaching tool that is more, is really going to deal with images. And there's really no way to do it wrong. But I really believe that this is something that you can kind of experience through osmosis as well. It's just going to be a little different. Okay. And I've never done this in this format. So we'll just see. So I have 2 volunteers today, and I'm really confident that we can get through both. So we're going to start with Estelle, since I got your email first. And so Estelle, why don't you just kind of say hi and give us like a little spiel about what you want to get some clarity around today.
Sure. So I am here because I have been going through a little bit of a battle the last year with my weight. So a while back, I lost a good amount of it. And
wait a second, Julika, isn't that what you were going to talk about too? Isn't that crazy? Okay, sorry to interrupt, Estelle.
No, that's okay. And I did it through a lot of thought work and very intentional. I actually worked with Brooke Castillo on like a one-on-one kind of thing. And I really kind of felt invincible when it was over.
Yeah.
And that inspired me to work on my side business, which is a personal stylist. And
yes.
As I did that and grew more and more out of my comfort zone, I gained weight, I think, as a welcome distraction. It's going back to Old Faithful.
Yeah.
And so I have been progressing with my business, but this part is like my go-to when I want to buffer or if I get uncomfortable putting myself out there. So
yeah.
I know kind of what the problem is. I just can't seem to push past it. So that's where I am.
Thank you for sharing that. It does remind me of myself, because we do, as entrepreneurs, end up in situations where we're out of our comfort zone. That's just part of the business, and that's how it works. And I remember the very first time I launched in my business, I think it was like, well, I don't remember what year it was, but my immune system was so weakened that I got shingles.
Oh no.
Yeah, like because yeah, physically sick. And so this is no small thing, right, that you're talking about here. And
Yeah.
I know I just wrote this really long list of ways that I cope with anxiety. If you go to my Facebook page, you can check it out. I'll also post a link tomorrow. But I struggle with anxiety. It's just part of who I am. And so I have kind of listed these coping mechanisms that I've used, because I have to remind myself, because a lot of times I will go directly to chocolate. I cut alcohol out of my life. It's going to be, I think I might be on 7 years, you guys.
Wow.
I have to go back and check. It's either 6 or 7 years. It's so long I've friggin' forgotten. And I don't smoke anymore. But there are ways, right, that we cope with anxiety that are not so helpful, and like I said, it's in my post on Facebook, it's like sometimes I'll still turn to chocolate, and it is what it is. It's like, it's not a judgment, but there are times when we want to make a different choice. So go check out that Facebook post, Estelle. But also, let's do some metaphor work around this and see if there's any if it helps with any insights. Okay. So what I want is for you can, you don't even have to have your camera on. It might be helpful actually to turn it off.
Oh, okay.
And everybody else is fine. You guys can keep yours on, and I'll keep mine on, and just for now, to see. I'm sure it'll be fine. But what I want you to do, Estelle, is I want you to close your eyes. And I'm just going to take a few deep breaths, and everybody else can do it too, if you want. And Estelle, definitely you. And I just want you to feel your feet on the floor. Put your attention there, because the feet are really the closest to the ground. We want to get you as far out of your logical mind as we can right now. And just know that there's no way to do this wrong. And just have the intention that you're not going to censor yourself or start to wonder if you're doing it right or wrong, because again, it really isn't about that. And I want you to be thinking about what you just described in terms of wanting to make different choices, and about your weight and whatever it's creating, whatever negative emotion it's creating for you that is causing you to turn towards food. And just kind of allow yourself to feel into that issue. And as you're sort of focusing in on your body and how it feels emotionally to have this struggle in your life right now, I want you, with your eyes closed, to just allow an image to sort of bubble into your mind's eye. And it doesn't matter what the hell it is, just some image. And once you've got it, let me know what you see inside your brain, inside your mind.
Well, this is strange. I'm not sure why, but I see a tree.
Okay, beautiful. So what I'm going to do is, I'm sitting here and I have my eyes closed, and I am going to try my best to get an idea of what you're seeing. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to ask you questions. And so you just continue to keep your eyes closed, and know that if a tree appeared, and there's a reason for it. And don't worry about it. And so as you're kind of looking at this tree, would you kind of describe to me what kind of tree it is? Because there are lots of different kinds of trees, and I might start thinking of my own version of a tree, but you tell me what your version of a tree looks like in your mind's eye.
Okay. It's a pretty tall tree. Mm-hmm. And from the root kind of all the way up, maybe about 2/3 of the way from the ground, it's empty, but then the blossoms are at the top. So it's kind of skinny with not much around the, up until you get to the top third, and then it's a full bloom. Okay.
And then what are the blossoms like?
Well, I say bloom. I guess I should say I don't see blossoms, just lots of green
lots
leaf.
Of green.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like a new green, or is it like a, how in spring the leaves are a lot brighter and sort of lighter, lime green? Is it like that, or I guess I should ask what the leaves are like.
Yeah, they're kind of lush green, bright leaves.
And they're towards the top.
Yes.
And then towards the bottom or where the branches start, you said there are no leaves?
Right.
Okay. And how tall is this tree in relationship to you?
Oh gosh. Let's see here. I would say it's so bad with this.
That's okay. Like you can even just like as you're in the image, just look at the tree and just look at it up and down and just give me a sense of how big it is, how big it feels to you as you're looking at it.
Okay. It's got a pretty wide trunk. I'd say I could probably put my arms around it like a hug. That would probably be about the size of the trunk.
Okay.
And if I'm standing on it, it reaches to like over the top of my house, like that length.
Okay. 1-story or 2-story house?
2-story.
Got it. So it's pretty tall.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And where are you right now in relation to the tree?
I'm standing at the base of it because I wanted to get closer and see how I could describe it.
You said you want to get closer to it?
Yeah. Well, partly in response to your question, so I could examine it. Yeah.
What else do you see? Anything? Or is it just the tree?
Yeah, it's just the tree. It looks like a healthy tree. Like the base, it's like a dark brown. It looks healthy.
Is it on grass or is it, what's the ground like? I keep throwing these images. I need to stop asking like specific questions and asking open-ended ones.
No. The ground is, it's healthy, but there's not a whole lot of grass.
So it's like more dirt.
Yeah, more dirt, and you can see the roots kind of as they a little bit raised above the ground as they kind of go down into it.
Okay. And what, if you look up, do you see anything?
I can see the sunlight between the branches. Yeah.
What's the weather like?
Oh, it's a pretty fall day.
Oh, it's a fall day. Okay.
It's kind of like a little bit crisp outside, but it's pleasant. You could easily sit out there comfortably. And
what vibe are you getting? Sorry, I'm gonna hear some background, so I'm gonna ask guys if you are multitasking. Check your mute. I'm gonna mute some folks here. Okay, so sorry. What vibe as you're standing next to the tree? What vibe do you get from the tree?
It's by itself, so I guess I kind of get like, even though it's standing there strong and healthy, that there's a kind of loneliness about it.
A loneliness about it. Mm-hmm. And how did the tree get there?
The original owners of the house planted it, so that would have been in the 30s.
And so it sounds like the tree is doing well towards the top, but a little sparse in the middle. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
And what vibe do you get from the tree in terms of like why it's doing well towards the top but sparse in the middle?
I don't know. I can't really get a vibe. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's okay. And what does the tree need in order to be able to heal that section of it?
Well, I think it needs to be nurtured more, watered more, just kind of looked after more.
Why don't you ask the tree what it needs and see, just kind of as like we're just playing around, and see if it gives you any kind of response. You don't have to ask it out loud. You can kind of ask it in your mind's eye.
Well, it actually, it said it needs love.
Okay. And so how do you feel like you are in a position to give it love?
Yes.
In whatever form that might take. What form would that take in this image?
Getting some kind of a sprinkler system that maybe would run so that I didn't have to worry about it happening. I know I could set it and that it would be taken care of. And then maybe on the weekend, just like seeing if there's any dead branches I could pull down, or, keeping it vibrant.
So check in with the tree and ask the tree how that all sounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it also said I needed to hang out with it because it's lonely.
Love it. I love it. I love plants, so this is really a cool image you've got going here. And so how does that sound like something doable for you, Estelle?
Well, I think since it's pretty weather, I think I could probably go out on the weekends and maybe read my Kindle, but like sit at the base of it and read my Kindle, or have the kids play around it.
What do you want to do right now for this tree?
I want to hug the tree.
I love it. Why don't you give the tree a hug and then see what happens? Okay.
All right. It just felt good.
Now take a look at the tree again and just tell me if there's anything that you notice that is different about the tree at all.
Maybe some little buds blooming around the center.
Oh, beautiful. All right, I'm going to take you out. And I'm going to go ahead and turn your video back.
That was very strange. I'm hugging trees.
I love it. It's giving me goosebumps, giving me chills. All right, so given sort of what we started out with in terms of our conversation, you're talking about just having to deal with some stressful stuff as you grow your career, and really just running up against this issue around the food stuff. What do you make of all this? If this image was here as a metaphor for your life right now, how do you interpret that?
Well, I think I interpret it as me trying to get my own attention for self-love, which is something I've kind of been trying to work on, but I just haven't learned exactly how to access it.
And so what does it mean to you when the tree said it was lonely? How does that show up for you maybe in your own life?
Well, I mean, being the entrepreneur and kind of going out there and just putting yourself out there, it can be scary. Although I do have a good support system, it's still kind of scary. And then also, I don't know, sometimes I struggle too, being a mom, like trying to connect with my kids a little bit more. It kind of makes me feel like maybe I need to sit down with them more, kind of like sitting down with a tree. And maybe I need to do a little more of that for myself somehow.
Any ideas of what sitting next to a tree, reading a Kindle on the weekends looks like in real life for you?
I think I would have to plan it and, make sure that the children, either my youngest was outside with me or my others could watch him inside. So I just have to make sure that I could set aside the time for it. But yeah, I mean, I think it could be doable.
So do you identify as the tree in this image? Or do you feel like the tree is something else?
Yeah, I think I kind of did identify a little bit as the tree.
And so the tree was lonely.
Yeah.
And also the tree, interesting, like it had the leaves up top, but it was sparse in the middle. What is that? What significance do you think that has for you?
Maybe that I'm excelling in one area and not another, so that I'm moving forward and pushing myself in the business, but not taking care of just me as a person.
Beautiful. Yeah, and sometimes we get so wrapped up in the action, which is a good thing, right? Because so many of us really struggle with taking action, that then we start to lose touch with those other parts of us. And I can relate to that deeply. And I know that when I've allowed myself that space, then everything starts to work, It's interesting. It's like, then my business goes a lot better, And so your tree, you as a tree, the loneliness piece, and needing water, needing care, You know, maybe some of that is literal, but you know, maybe you do need to drink more water. Who knows? But what I would say is, you know, this image of the tree, how it bloomed after you were giving it the time and the attention, and not just the logistical, oh, I need water, oh, I need to take my vitamins, oh, I need to exercise, right? Those are some of the nuts and bolts, right? And that's what you started off with the tree. I'm going to set up the sprinkler system, you know, but also like the tree said, no, that's not enough. You know, I need a hug, right? Whatever the equivalent of a hug is for you, whatever the equivalent of sitting next, you know, time, attention, valuing, you know, it's kind of goes back to maybe a little bit, it reminds me a little bit of just like that reflecting back that you are precious, right? So anyway, beautiful. So how was that for you?
Well, I feel a little teary-eyed. So, but no, it made sense. I mean, as I was answering the questions that I was asking the tree and seeing that, I kind of began to realize the metaphor. And so it kind of hit me a little bit.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I think too, you know, one of the reasons why I really love this kind of coaching, the metaphor work, is that the images that we get are often so powerful that they hit us in this visceral way, and stay with us. And so, you know, I always encourage people, depending on what it is that they, you know, what they enjoy, to if it's a motivational thing to remind yourself of the tree, you know, you can paint a tree, you can put together some kind of a vision board about a tree, you can buy it, plant a tree, but that, you know, that if that image is helpful to you as a reminder, then I would encourage you to play with it and see if there's some way that you could bring that image into your life more.
Yeah, it's funny. My mother-in-law is an artist, and a while back, I asked her to create something for me, and kind of a symbol of like being a strong woman or whatever. And it's interesting. She has a picture of a woman holding a tree. It's in my bathroom. So,
What?
yeah, it's kind of an interesting. Like she's kind of coming out. It looks blue on the bottom, and she has this gown on, and she's holding a tree. And anyway, so that's funny. That's. I guess I have that visual.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, yeah, just stay in touch and let us know how it goes. But I think that was beautiful. And you know, we processed it a little, but you know, just keep thinking about it. Sometimes you'll get additional insights. I mean, I think it's worthwhile to do a little journaling even about what does it look like to provide that nuts and bolts care for yourself, but also what does it look like to give yourself hugs? What does it look like to give yourself that quality time and attention? You know, those are things that you can start to think about and invite into your life. And obviously, that part of you that knows better is telling you is that those are the pieces that are missing here. This is what will help you bloom to the full, you know, to the full extent, right, that you are going to bloom. So that's beautiful. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So Julika. Oops, I'm going to unmute you. I probably muted you without your. Okay, unmute. Okay, good. We can hear you now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very similar to Estelle. I also found myself having lost weight and gained it back many times.
Mm.
And the last time too, I had worked with a nutritionist, and I was really good about eating for my energy and not so much focusing on body issue, but really on feeling healthy and energetic. And I felt super strong.
Mm.
And then my husband lost his job, and that put us into a really difficult situation for quite some time.
Mm.
And we have not fully recovered, I would say, or we're not really where we used to be, but you know, things are back under control. And yes, but during that time, I wasn't able to continue to work with a nutritionist, and I also wasn't able to meal plan and do all the things that I knew were good for me, just because our budget was really stressed or
Mm.
stretched. And that also it sort of, and that's where I lost my focus and started emotional eating again, as I had in the past. And so I've come to a point where I'm now and thinking, I really don't care about my image.
Mm.
Really care that I can't cross my legs, or that when I bend down I feel uncomfortable, and that I'm also afraid for my health. I want to be around for my kids, and I don't want to get super unhealthy so that I'm gonna end up with health risks to
Mhm.
my life.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I know the situation hasn't changed much, or it's changed quite a bit, but not enough. So these factors will continue to be there, but I need to change some of my behaviors because they will just make it worse.
Okay. And so what is the question, maybe the question mark, or where is it, what specifically do you want guidance around? Just so we can clarify.
Yeah, it's really overeating, and coming home and just binging or not being able to stop myself
Okay.
from overeating.
Okay. So we'll ask for guidance around that,
Mm-hmm.
or set the intention. So same thing, you can turn your camera off, and once your camera's off, I'm just going to have you kind of ground yourself by putting your attention into your feet and taking a few deep breaths. And I'm taking my deep breaths and putting my attention into my feet. My eyes are closed. Close your eyes if they're not closed already, and just know that there's no right or wrong here, and just have an intention that you won't censor yourself. There's no way to do this wrong. And just be kind of in your body for a little bit, and feel into sort of what it is like to have this stress around the overeating, the binging, and allow yourself, with your eyes closed, to just allow an image to kind of bubble into your awareness without censoring. And when you're ready, just let me know if you get anything.
Yeah, so the image that's coming, it's sort of a lot of chaos.
Okay.
And it's hard to determine it. It seems almost like, the TV screens a long time ago when they went on these like grainy pictures at night.
Yeah. 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 Did you see that movie Poltergeist?
Yes, a long time ago, something
There
like
was
that.
grainy. I don't know. Anyway,
Yes,
I'm gonna bring that in.
yes, it seems exactly like that. It's almost in a comic, almost like in a comic somehow.
Interesting. All right. Well, I have my eyes closed still. I'm going to keep them closed this entire time because I am going to try and ask you questions to help get a sense for me of what it is that you are seeing in your mind's eye. So just if you would, just kind of take a look around you. And maybe it's not all coming up visually either. Maybe it's coming up as noise or as a feeling, but just kind of allow yourself to take in whatever it is that's going on in your mind's eye and just describe it to me.
Yeah, it is sort of me walking around through this lens of this, grainy picture, and there's lots of noise and interferences that come, sort of toward my head, and it's so uncomfortable, and I feel it's really hard to to move even in that space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
yeah, it's like it almost feels like quicksand or something that I'm walking on.
And how are you feeling emotionally as you're in this space?
Overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
and afraid,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think those are the most. It feels like, whoa, this is so loud, and there's so many. Uh, yeah, there's so much sensation, or my senses are being stimulated in so many ways. It feels really overload.
Oh gosh. So now what and do you what can you look down? Do you actually see quicksand or can you tell what it is you're walking on?
Mm. Yeah. So at first there wasn't a floor.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can sort of see. I mean, it is like a floor, and it's almost like when you're in a dream, you're trying to walk, but you're not
Yeah.
really walking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's how it feels. It's not holding. It's not
God.
holding anything.
It doesn't seem like it's a very firm foundation. Tell me where.
No. Yeah.
Now, do you see, I keep picturing static. Is that right? Like, are you seeing static around you or do you see other, is it different?
Yeah, it's totally static. I do see images in between, but it's static. You know,
What images are you seeing in between?
uh, my life, messy kitchen,
Yeah.
um, messy living room,
Yeah.
kids running around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, are they like flicking in and out?
Yeah, sort of.
Interesting. And do you actually see like that you're in a space with walls, or are you just kind of in this um, kind of limitless space?
Hmm. It's a space with walls. I would say it's probably my house where I live, my
Okay.
kitchen, living room.
Okay.
But none of it is firm. It's all very bendable, and like you lean against the wall and it would do the same thing as the floor. You just can't move anywhere.
Okay. So, what do as you're in this image and you're noticing all of these pieces, and you're feeling that overwhelm and the fear, what do you want to do? Look around you. What do you want to do right now?
Hmm. I really want this to stop.
Mm-hmm.
um and I want all of these sensations to stop. So this is yeah, I
Okay.
could eat and eat and eat and it will not stop, but that's sort of the sensation. Just stop it.
So, in this image where you are trying to move but you feel like you can't, will it help you? Do you feel like you want to be able to move to places, or um, is that something that would you feel like would help you to be able to actually move?
Yes.
Okay. And so, given that we are playing around with a mental image here, you're inside and you're doing so well being inside this image. Stay here with me, and keep playing with me. Um, is there something that you could bring in, some kind of resource, or even something that you see maybe around you in your environment that you could bring in or do that would that maybe you haven't even considered because you're so overwhelmed?
Hmm. I wonder if we lost Amy. Maybe it's been so static that she got kicked off. I guess my static is so strong that it's has gotten through the internet into Amy's line as well.
Hi, Jalika. Sorry, I don't know what happened.
My static was too strong. I'm sorry.
Right? That's funny. All right, let's get back. Let's go back. Let's see if we can get back there. So I was like in a meditative state. I was just waiting, like I was, and then
Yeah.
I opened my eyes and I saw that I had been bumped out. All right, so we're gonna go back. And the last thing I had asked, I don't know if you heard me, but you're here. You're trying to. You'd like to move. And I asked if there was anything that you saw or anything that you could do to get you to be able to move.
I don't see anything.
Okay. Why don't you, let's just for the sake of experimentation, why don't you ask the floor if there's anything that you can do to be able to move freely, and see if the floor says anything.
It says to breathe.
Interesting. So go ahead and take a few breaths and see if anything changes.
Yeah, it changes quite a bit.
Okay, what changed?
I would say, I don't know if this is because of the disconnection, but the image is almost gone. So it's like back to normal.
Okay, and you're able to
in
walk.
my kitchen. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And how are you feeling now? Because before you said you were feeling overwhelmed and scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, now I feel like I can walk around and I can have, yeah, I'm okay. I don't feel overwhelmed. I might feel annoyed, but not overwhelmed as much.
Not as
and not as scared.
Okay. Is there anything that you, now that you can move freely, right? This is a good start.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you'd like to do? Anchor yourself back into the image if you feel like you may have popped out, and just get back there now that you're moving around. See yourself in the space. Is there anything that you would like to do?
I would really like to go outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't you head outside and let us know what happens?
Yeah, now I'm walking outside and I'm walking on the trail through the woods.
And how are you feeling?
It feels awesome.
All right, I'm going to pull you out.
Mm-hmm.
I love these nature themes, so beautiful. All right, so given sort of where we started, and an excellent job given the interruption there, sort of given where we started and what you had described, what do you make of all this?
Well, things can get really overwhelming and tough at times, and I definitely forget to breathe. And I do want it all to stop, and the one way to try to get me out of it, to make it stop when I can't just walk out and into the woods, is oftentimes I do reach for food because I just need it to stop this feeling.
Yeah. So
this urge.
It's like an escape, feeling of needing to escape.
Yes, it's an urge to, escape. Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting what the floor said when we asked the floor, which is that what wasn't letting you move. And I imagine that feeling of stuckness really contributes to this feeling of wanting to escape. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So what do you make of the floor telling you to breathe, and then from there, like everything changed in your environment?
Mm. I mean, that's the only thing really that we can do, is to breathe and center ourselves, be with ourselves, and know it's okay, because life is always changing and there's so much we can't control, and it really doesn't matter so much, at least to me, how I look or how we look or whoever else looks. It's really about being present in that life and not trying to numb that out all the time.
That's beautiful. It may be, I mean, this is now kind of in your, what's that expression? This is in your side. That's not the right expression, but it's for you now. It's on you to think about, what does breathing look like? It could actually be that your higher self, whatever, wants you to start doing more breath work. It's kind of reminds me of labor and like the breath breathing that we do, and that we learn to do, to get through something really difficult, right? Gosh, you have 3 kids, or is it more? Do you have 4?
Three.
And they're probably, I think they were similar ages to mine, but I totally, oh, I can so relate. And I know for me, I am someone, I've mentioned this many times, but I really feel like so many of the people in my community are also extremely sensitive, extremely empathic, and that we really feel things. And I know for me, being a mother with my children, they're all talking to me at the same time. They're all wonderful humans, but they're all talking to me. They all need things. It's like I'm running around like a decapitated chicken trying to meet their needs. And, it can be really overwhelming. And I used to turn to alcohol as a way to sort of just, pull the blinds down. And again, I think I'm on 7 years now. I can't believe it's been 7 friggin' years, but that has really allowed me to learn other coping strategies. But yeah, so it'll be interesting for you to kind of explore breath and what that means. Maybe it's literal, maybe it's something else, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's, I don't know, but breathing is something that we can focus on wherever we are and whatever we're doing. So I think that's such a beautiful reminder to all of us that our breath is always available to us. And that might be a wonderful thing for you to explore in your own work as well, as something that you can start to incorporate more and maybe even start to work with others around. But that's just an insight that I had. Take it or leave it. But the other piece there that was interesting was that as soon as you were able to move, you were going outside. I don't know. So is there anything else like that you noticed, or anything else that was interesting to you as you were kind of poking around in this image?
Yeah, I think, it's a really good image. And I think that a lot of us can relate to that, in the sense that I don't go out. I obsess over cleaning the house or doing the laundry and getting things done, and continuing the work that makes me breathless, where I end up, so squeezed in the corner that I am totally overwhelmed and exhausting myself.
Yeah.
And so I guess, the invitation or the image, is really to, remember everything you just said, but actually go out. And I do struggle a lot with not having a good house. I just came back from a work trip, and my house looks like a bomb or something hit it.
Yes.
And to just leave it alone and say, that's okay, it's part of life. And that's evidence for me having a family, which I wanted.
Yes.
And so, really just to say, okay, let's do the things that fill me up first. And then we can, come back to cleaning the house, and maybe do it with music and fun or whatever.
I'm just smiling because I love coaching, because I feel like it's almost like, as I'm coaching, I'm also hearing things that I need to hear. It's like my clients are also, like mirroring my life, because I mentioned that I had written all these things that I do for anxiety, and two of them were organizing and cleaning, and they take away my anxiety. But also, on the other hand, I also find that the cleaning and the organizing can sometimes be a way for me to feel like I have control. It's like almost like it becomes this, like almost like an obsessive thing, where it's like, if it's not clean, like I'm trying to control my circumstances so that I can finally feel peaceful and relaxed. But it's kind of like what you said, it's not about controlling the circumstances, it's about taking care of yourself in ways that need to be taken care of. And I know for me, nature, and even for me, just like getting outside and pulling weeds. I'm one of those weirdos. It's like
Yes.
just being around dirt, is extremely relaxing for me. Like it's grounding in a way that I really need. And so, or even walking my dog more. I was thinking about this morning that, she needs more exercise than I give her. And I think part of that is because I'm not going outside enough. So I smile because of what you said. And it's also a powerful reminder that we sometimes, we've talked a lot in this series even about our circumstances and that we can't control them. But I think a big source of stress and anxiety for us is wanting to control our children's behavior, wanting to control our husband's behavior, wanting to control our surroundings, and so, working with our thoughts and feelings to get into an energetic place is really, what we can do, what we do have control over. So,
Mhm.
so yeah.
Okay.
How are you feeling? How was that for you?
That was great. Yes, thank you. It's really what I needed to hear too. And it's so, yes, it feels so much better and inspired.
Well, so yeah, just hang on to that image or do what you can do, continue with working through sort of some creative right brain stuff if you get inspired, to remind yourself of the breathing and of being outside and getting into that energy and taking care of yourself. And let me know how it goes.
No, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. This was fun. This was like, we had a theme going here, and I know we can all relate to that stuff. So beautiful. I want to thank you, Julika and Estelle, for your willingness to be coached today around this. And we're almost at the hour, but again, you guys, I was going to say, I have one more space available for one-on-one coaching. And I'm also opening enrollment for a group coaching program that starts late October. I have a limited number of spaces for that, but this is something to consider. It's going to be a very similar format, and I'm announcing it here first to you guys. I really haven't done any promo around this at all, so you are the first to know. So if that's of interest and you'd like to learn more, definitely send me an email, and I will make time this week to chat with you about that. One more spot available for one-on-one coaching, opening up enrollment for group coaching. Starts late October. Format will be similar. Meeting time will probably be this time. All right, guys, thanks again. And thank you to our beautiful volunteers. And we will do some fun metaphor work next week as well. So I'll look forward to getting to connect with you guys then. Take care.